get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair.
Good morning and welcome to Freedom Ranch Homestead. Today we are sitting down to talk to you a little bit about our solar lumber kiln and the process that we went through to build it, and the mistakes and things that we've learned along the way. The process of building this, you and Christian were the ones to start it, and you came and leveled out the ground as best you could with the equipment that we had, and then started building the foundation of it. The kids and I joined Christian and Chuck not long after they got it started up. We drove up and helped with getting the floor in, and then started to build the framing, and then we did the siding. And and as together as a family, we were able to construct this thing with as positive an attitude as we could in the heat. And there were definitely some times where I was thinking, like, this isn't what I signed up for, but it is actually what I signed up for, Christian and Chuck got here night before last and did a lot of work yesterday.
Outside.
Side done. Fabulous. Are you happy with it, babe?
It's coming along great. Our roof line is so flat. Look at how flat that roof line is. That is like, for us, compared to Grumpy's garage.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
We're getting better.
Definitely getting better.
Yeah, so this is the Virginia Tech plans for the solar wood kiln. And what we've done is we've taken the plans, if you've seen the earlier videos, we talked about how we doubled the width of it. But we also, because we wanted to be able to hold more of our logs, we put in the logs from the cabin in the first charge. And we knew that we didn't have a lot of time because we want to start building our cabin. And we didn't want to have months and months of drying lumber and wait until like next spring to start the process of building our cabin. And so our thought was we would make the kiln large enough to take essentially half the logs for the first, or maybe at least, maybe not a half, but close to half the logs for the first round of the cabin into a single charge. And the charge is, I think that's the term they use for loading. At least that's the word I'm going to use. I don't know, it sounds right.
And our logs they're pretty big. They're 10 by 12 inches, so 10-inch thick, 12-inch high.
Right.
And then they're 20 feet long. So we've got a few of them, and then there's some shorter ones as well. But the longest is 20 feet. That's as all the sawmill could do, the length it could cut.
Right. So we're trying to give the builder something to work with soon. We want to dry the logs down a little bit. Right now, the testing I've done, it looks like they're somewhere around 17, anywhere from 15 to 20%-ish, that range.
What do we want to get it to?
I'd like to get it down to about 14%, something in that neighborhood. You're not going to dry these huge logs down all the way. We're just trying to get the outer portions dried down some, kill the bugs, kill the fungus and anything on there. And so we need to get the temperature up to the kiln. My understanding is the solar lumber kiln dries much slower than a traditional gas-fired kiln, where you put them in there and you heat them up and you leave them there for X period of time and then you take them out. Mm-hmm. This process, they heat up during the day, they cool down at night, they reabsorb moisture in a much slower, it's kind of a expand and contract mode, but it's slower. And the process of going through this allows the lumber to more adapt to the slow shrinking, and then it cracks less. So that's one of the advantages of using the solar lumber kiln, is to really reduce the amount of cracking. So the reason we were building it so large was to get a larger load of logs in there, but it's also created some challenges. We're not finding the heat coming up as high as we wanted it to come up. And so, but we also took some shortcuts. I was thinking that if we just lined it with black plastic on the inside, that the heat would get high enough in there to get the temperature up to where we needed it. Well, what I wasn't counting on was the amount of shrinkage. The lumber we used to construct this kiln was, I mean, this is extremely green lumber. Mm-hmm. So we used the lumber to construct the kiln. It's shrinking now, so it's created these gaps in the boards. Mm-hmm. And that's created a lot of airflow, and which allows any trapped heat to just head on out. And
yeah. So last weekend was when we were up here to see for the first time what it felt like inside the kiln after I'd been sitting for the week while we were gone. And it was really hot outside in the sun. It was, I think the thermometer read like 105 degrees. And so we thought when we'd open it up, it'd be like this waft of hot air that would just knock us over. And instead, I think it was like 85 degrees inside.
It was cooler in there.
So we were like, it's cooling our wood, it's keeping it dry, but it's not really like heating it up and drying it. So we are now going to...
I'm going to add some insulation. I bought some asphalt-based fiber insulation. It's low R value. It's like 1.3 R value. It's not very high. But I think if I use that plus the background, it will be enough to stop the wind or the air from leaving the building. We'll trap it in there better. The black, which it already has black plastic, so it's not going to add a lot of heat there.
Yeah.
But one of the things is the logs in there are so large and they have so much mass that I think the reason it was cooler during the day, and this may be something we can't overcome. We've got such a volume of wood in this kiln that it holds the cool during the night when it kind of shrinks down and absorbs the moisture and cools down at night. Those logs take that, that coolness in, and it takes them so long to warm up that they actually create a heat sink, and and probably during the night it takes a lot longer to cool down. But then once they're cool, to warm them back up again, it takes a lot of heat to get them warmed up again.
Yeah, I wonder.
So I think I might have discovered that the amount of wood we put in here and a solar kiln may simply not work. We could have built this entire thing, and as I say always when we start these projects, it could be a colossal failure. And we're close to maybe thinking this might be that. But the good news about all this is, at the end of the day, this will be an amazing greenhouse.
Yes.
When we seal it up, it's going to be a brick greenhouse.
Yeah, so I can grow vegetables and lettuce during the winter time. So it won't be a complete waste of all our lumber and time. It will definitely be put to use no matter what.
Yeah. And I think it may also work better with charges of lumber like we're sitting on here, just boards, where you've got a lot more airflow. There's not as much volume of actual wood here. And this is just where I'm thinking right now might be the part of the problem.
Yeah. Because
it literally is cooler in there in blazing heat. You open that door up and it's like, oh, this isn't so bad in here. But yeah, you get up in the top and it's really hot.
It's really hot. Well, maybe because the walls are so tall that the heat won't come down.
But the logs have to absorb all that heat, and it takes a long time. Yeah. So I don't know. We're in the process of figuring that out. I will say the moisture content of the logs is dropping. From when we put it in there. There was we were anywhere from 20, low 20s to up into the 40s. Okay. And now it's much more consistent.
Chuck just got done doing the readings on some of the wood, and we are very, very pleased with the results. Even though the kiln is not as hot as we intended it to get, it is definitely drying the wood out. So we had readings of the 14%, 17%, and what was the lowest one?
11.4.
What? So that is awesome news. We're definitely excited about that.
Now, this is just it only goes in maybe 1/4 of an inch, this probe. Our builder is going to come out tomorrow with a better probe to go in a little deeper and just check the real moisture. Yeah. So we'll get a better reading tomorrow, but this is pretty encouraging. We've had some really heavy rains here during the week. The good news is those logs are in out of the rain. There are fans in there blowing, 4 fans that blow intermittently as the solar cells charge up. And that's another thing we figured out is these solar panels have, we need another battery to run them longer. Those fans, the solar panel itself isn't big enough to run all 4 fans and charge the battery. Mm-hmm. So the battery drains down, and then it shuts off, it charges back up, it'll run for maybe 5 minutes and then turn off again.
Yeah, so we need another solar panel.
Another solar panel and another battery.
Okay.
And then I think we'll have plenty of power to run the fans more continuously.
Okay, which would be good.
Yeah.
Which would definitely be good.
You see me take a lot of risks on the videos, no doubt. Yeah. Climbing ladders and doing kind of things that may look unsafe. I'm very, very confident in those things because just how I just have no fear of climbing and doing those kind of things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not dangerous.
Yeah. We would not recommend people build the way that we build.
Right.
And it does make me very, very nervous at times to watch them. Christian went. Oh, there's his head, chilling.
I will carry you on my shoulders as long as I'm able. Scare the monsters under your bed. Deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in
We're back for some more post dinner. I believe it's about 9 o'clock at night, and the guys want to finish this up.
But no matter what comes your way, I will stay right here beside you to catch you if you fall. And deep
Got some moves, baby.
liking for you is
He is.
all I
You're
need.
making shadows.
Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need.
One of the other things I just was thinking about that, you know, this is, some of you are probably going to watch this and say, we built it out of green lumber and it's very close to the ground, so you're probably not going to last long with rotting your green lumber out where it's exposed to the ground. So we did one thing that'll help for a while, which is to have my daughter Bree painted a creosote or asphalt-based material around the outside of the lower base of the building.
Yeah.
You can tell we're not construction people.
Yeah.
And it is up on blocks, but it's not high enough to keep water from splashing up on it. We're going to do a couple of things. We're going to keep the weeds and, you know, stuff from directly touching it. I'm going to put a layer of rock right around the base to keep moisture from coming up into the wood. And we'll eventually have to jack the whole building up. I haven't told Brooke this
Oh
yet.
gosh.
We'll have to jack the entire building up and get it a little bit higher on pedestals or something, because we don't have treated lumber underneath the bottom, and that will get rotted out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Or
that's down the road though.
it's down the road. We've got a year or so to worry about that. So we're not going to worry about it right now. But we were in such a hurry, and lumber costs were absolutely astronomical at the time we built this. But this is a classic example of not building your house on a solid foundation.
Yeah.
And it will come back and haunt us at some point. And so I'm well aware of that. So you don't need to make comments in the section to tell me, hey, dummy.
Your foundation's not going to work. We know it.
We know
Probably
it's not
will
going to
not
work in the
going
long run. But we will figure out a way to preserve the base. The bottom line is we've got some issues that we'll have to deal with eventually, and we took some shortcuts that will come back and bite us in the tailpipe.
Yeah, but we knew we wanted to get the lumber dried as soon as possible, because for those of you who don't know, we live in Raleigh right now, and so we're coming up here on the weekends to get as much work as we can done, and then we have to drive back home each week or each Sunday night. But we are moving here in August, which is oh my gosh, it's almost exactly a month away when we move up here to get settled in. And the only structures that we have on this property are Grumpy's garage, which is where we stay at nighttime now, or in tents, and then this colossal beast behind us. So we are kind of in a rush to get things built so that we can get settled in here next month for the kids to start school. And so that was why we did cut some corners with the kiln, just with the urgency of trying to get the wood dried so that we can start having the log cabin built.
Yeah, I mean, if we were doing this when it had plenty of time, I'd have insulated it right out of the gate. I knew it needed
Built
it.
a more solid foundation.
I thought we could maybe get by being summer months trying to get some heat. I know in the winter it definitely won't work, but in the summer months I thought we could probably get the heat up in here, but not happening yet.
Yep.
And after I get these panels of insulation in, we'll see if that makes any difference in retaining heat longer. A couple other things we did on this, we braced it on the backside because you can see this is a giant wind sail, and north is that direction, so we're going to get steady north winds blowing right at this thing. Yeah, so in the back we just we dug holes in the ground, we poured them full of concrete, put 4x4 posts in there. Those are treated against the walls. So that'll give us some bracing against it going over. But on the front side, we've also dug some holes. We have cables that I'm going to string from the top down, and so we'll have anchor cables on the front side. So we'll anchor this thing down. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's right now it's got so many logs in it that it couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's so true. It's so weighed down.
The amount of the weight of those logs is I don't even know, but it's massive.
So and that's the other thing is that, you know, this is not a structure we're going to live in.
No.
And it will, before it becomes a greenhouse, or maybe only half will become a greenhouse, but the other we can dry our firewood in. So it'll always have weight in it, which is good. Definitely a good thing. So.
Yeah. Initially we thought, well, let's build two separate 12-foot. Basically we built them so that they could be separated at some point, and one taken off closer to where we'll live or whatever around the other side of the property for the greenhouse. And then this backside would just be the firewood kiln at some point. And then whenever we had new logs that we wanted to mill up, and we could put in up to 12 feet long logs in it. So that was the idea. Once we got working on it though, and once we started taking those giant doors off, which is a whole nother saga, we came pretty quickly to the realization we're never taking this thing apart.
No, it ain't moving.
We're not moving it. We may have to raise it up to get some treated lumber under it, but we're not moving it. Not going to happen. So we've bolted it together, and inside we've actually cross-braced it with some really good cabling. But we've really, I think we've got the structure pretty sound now, especially when we put the front cables down. And also the doors. Those doors, when we pull those off, that entire front section's open. And you can imagine those header beams, there's a lot of down pressure there, but that's where we've taken cables and pulled up to each of the corners on each side, on the inside, so it holds it up, and it actually works really well. The issue we have right now is because it's on a slope, I've had to level, make basically a pad there I can drive the tractor up on, because otherwise you're loading in the lumber and you're at an angle like this and it can't fit through the door. And so we've had to, level a pad out. That's taken a lot of work, a lot of fill dirt, gravel to level it up. And we're getting close. I got a little bit more work to do there. But then we have you see the big holes in the door. Those are actually perfectly designed for the forks to go through, and then we can back out the doors. That's not an ideal situation either. Eventually, what we would like to do is make some kind of design. We're still trying to think about the best way to design either hinges, so we can lift the doors up, and the hinges on the top. Yeah, and Christian and I have been talking about this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hinges on the top, giant hinges, and then you can lift it up with a pulley system so that it's up like this.
Oh.
That's one way.
I would think it'd be easier to open them.
Well, that's another, but the hinges have so much weight to hold. So that was the other way we're thinking about. And then the third way is doing kind of the barn door style, where you can slide them out on rails, but which we have to have
external posts
and rails to run out on. And with the ground there, I'd have to cut into the ground to make it where the doors didn't hit the ground.
Yeah.
So there's not a silver bullet answer yet, and we're still working on it. So in the meantime, we take those forks, we stick them in, and we back out with the door. We set the door down, then we go put the lumber or logs in, and then try to put the door back on. But it isn't so bad if it's level, but if you're off level at all, it's a nightmare, because those doors are really heavy. So that's why I have only done this when Christian's here, so he can help me, because I
can't do that kind of work.
Yeah, I gotta have really strong backs here for this one. So you can see we are muddling through this thing. We have very few plans other than up here and base concept, Virginia Tech. But when you scale it up high like we did, and the width probably wasn't the issue. It was more the height.
The height, yeah, I think so.
That height makes that box that has to get heated up a lot bigger.
Much bigger.
And that bigger box is really causing us, I think, some of the challenges that we have right now.
Yeah.
So,
We definitely hope that you continue to watch our progress as we move along and start building this homestead from scratch. And we'll definitely, once we get up here and live here on a continuous basis, we'll be definitely pumping out some more videos and showing you kind of our day-to-day living that happens while we're here on the ranch. And
give us some suggestions on those doors. That would be really helpful.
if you guys have any thoughts on how we could do the doors, that would be,
Just keep in mind they're super heavy.
Yeah, yeah. So we would love any input, especially from you engineers. That would be awesome. And just remember to spread the word about us, subscribe, and give the like button. And we just look forward to continuing our journey and sharing it with you guys. So take care. Good morning, handsome man. How hot is it in there?
It's as hot as a popcorn tube.
Good. Excellent work, beautiful girl. Living the life, you puppies. Living the life. Are you shutting me in here?
I'm closing you in.
Don't lock me in!
Toast nice
Oh
and
my goodness. No! He's locked me in. Don't you dare, mister! I knew